Right, in this series of lessons on trees, the first thing I wanted to get to look at is the shape of the trees, because most people, when they start painting trees for the first time, end up with this proverbial lollipop on a stick. So here you've got the weeping willow and the palm tree, for example. On the face of it, quite different trees, yet the similarities are there in that the leaves, or the fronds in the case of the weeping willow, come out and over and down. They do exactly the same with the palm tree in the way the shape flows, except of course the leaves are a bit bigger and wider and they stop near the top of the tree. And look at these two oak trees, for example. Here's one which is this flat wide shape, and here's one which is almost, or the leaf areas are almost a square shape. So the trick is to have a look and decide in your own mind what shape you see in the overall tree. It doesn't matter what shape you choose as long as it works for you. If we have a look at this little acetate sheet, and you can see there I've just given some rough shapes of these various trees to show you the sort of thing I'm on about. Better still, if we just move that out the way, now you can see them much better. You can see the weeping willow is really the letter D on its back, as is the palm tree. Here we've got the silver birch in the autumn, and in that particular photograph it's almost a tulip shape. And here we've got the beautiful cedar of Lebanon tree, which you can almost see as three triangles in the way the overall shape goes. Here we've got the acacia tree straight out of the African bush, and you can see it's this sort of umbrella shape at the top, but with the V shape with the trunks. And I just want to also mention that if you notice each of the trunks for these trees, whether it's long and slender for the Scots pine or it's short and stubby for the English oak tree, always remember that when these trees are in full flower, there's a heck of a weight that those trunks have got to support in terms of leaves, branches and twigs. So a common fault for the beginner is to make the tree trunks too thin and too weedy for the tree. Remember, it's got to support an awful lot of weight, so that trunk has got to be pretty solid, even when it's quite slim like this one. If we just take two very simple examples for demonstration purposes, let's look at the Scots pine. So the Scots pine, you can just drag that up, as simple as that, and draw out a couple of branches, no more than that. And then if you want to, you can draw it roughly. You can either do it like that, or if you want a little bit more detail at this stage, we can just bring in a raggedy brush like that, and you can even make it a little bit more detailed. You can see how that works. Maybe just a tiny bit more. It's a slender branch, slender trunk rather. Notice how at the bottom, in fact, notice at the bottom of each of these trees how the base of the trunk goes into the ground, and we'll be looking at that as we do the individual demos. It goes into the ground and also spreads at the base, so it's absolutely solidly on and into the ground. It's just not plonked on top of the ground, so the first gust of wind would blow it over. And if we very briefly look at the olive tree, you can see the way it's a very gnarled and twisted trunk. Here you've almost got, you can see a number 7, and then this banana shape for the leaf clusters, so you can very easily replicate that just before you put the proper paint on. In fact, we've got a number 7 there, or you could almost say that's a Y shape, and it's quite twisted and gnarled. And then again, if you want to go back into the more detailed stuff, you can do, but remember, this is something that you're putting on the paper, perhaps in the middle distance, just to give you an outline of where you want to paint the tree. So it might be quite sufficient just to give yourself that sort of outline. That might be better for you. It's a very simple technique. So there we are. Whenever you're painting trees, and particularly when you're putting the basic outline down on the canvas ready to paint, then just have a look at the tree and Don't look at the masses of leaves and the individual twigs, look at the whole thing in the round. Get a basic idea of the shape of the tree in your mind and put that down on your canvas.